illness in the past 2 weeks than I have in my entire 10 years in healthcare.
Now this.
Capital One is right in the palm of your hand, so you can check your balance, deposit checks, pay bills, and transfer money from your phone with a top-rated app. Get started online anytime. What's in your wallet? Capital One N.A., member FDIC.
Hey, y'all.
Wrong button. This is Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station, KNX 1070 News Radio. I'm Mike Simpson.
And I'm Rob Archer in for Karen Adams. Our top local story at 4:03. LA County health officials reporting another 4,272 new coronavirus cases today. A second straight day of 4,000 or more new cases. Yesterday, it was more than 5,000. County Public Health Director Dr. Barbara Ferrer says starting tonight, new restrictions go into effect, beginning with a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. modified curfew.
The number of patrons at outdoor restaurants, breweries, and wineries is limited to 50% of maximum outdoor capacity. Starting tonight, restaurants, breweries, wineries, bars, all other non-essential retail establishments must close for in-customer service between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. All of these sites can remain open for takeout, delivery, and pickup.
Outdoor gatherings can include no more than 15 people who are members of no more than 3 households.
Statewide, more than 13,000 new COVID-19 infections reported and other new records. 91 more deaths also reported. We asked LA County Public Health Officer Dr. Muntu Davis if new restrictions like the curfews matter, considering that a lot of people aren't following the current recommendations.
Well, I think that's why, both us and the state and other jurisdictions have stepped up again and sort of, implemented more restrictions, to really note that this is serious and that people need to get back to following the instructions and playing by the rules.
He was on KNX In Depth today, also talked about the latest on the Pfizer vaccine. You can get that podcast on the radio.com app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Some California Sheriff's Departments say they're not going to enforce stay-at-home orders. One of them, Orange County. That story in 2 minutes. It's 4:05.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the fives. Here's Denise Fondo.
We've got an injury crash in Whittier on the 605 southbound at Peck Road. That did have lanes blocked and backed up that drive from the 60. We also have a motorcycle wreck in Baldwin Park. We get the update from Scott Burt in the Southern California Toyota dealers, Sky One.
Yeah, it's an injury crash here, 10 eastbound, right at Baldwin Park Boulevard before you get to Francisquito. The right lane is coned off here. It looks like it is in the clearing stages, but LA County Fire is still here along with CHP. So immediate backup a little bit before Santa Anita at this point on the 10 eastbound, and of course expect some slowing out of Monterey Park heading over into the Rosemead area as well. 134 Glendale, the Jam Cam with Brian.
CHP is holding the east 134 to the north 2 transition road there. We've got a stall, and CHP's got everything blocked here while they try to get this stall out of your lane. So I do see some slowing starting to build almost back to the main line. Now, if you're on that 134, you do have slowing heading eastbound, starting at Forest Lawn, making you out through the 5 freeway. Denise.
CHP says we've got a couple of shopping carts on the connector from the 5 northbound to the 110 north in Elysian Park. Next report, 4:15 with more traffic reports more often. I'm Denise Fondo in the SDCCU 24-hour traffic center, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Some more clouds today, but temperatures right around average, 60s, 70s, and some spots nearing 80 or right there at 80 degrees for our highs. Clouds sticking with us for the weekend. Temps like this or just a little bit warmer, and then we drop off as we go into next week. We'll have a 5-day forecast a little later on. 72 in Santa Clarita, Hollywood 70, and Irvine now 68 degrees.
It's 4:06. The Orange County Sheriff's Department says it will not be enforcing Governor Newsom's stay-at-home order. Sheriff Don Barnes tells KNX his department will use an educational approach and seek voluntary compliance from residents as they've done since the beginning of the pandemic.
I believe this has some constitutional issues in the enforcement of them, but we are not going to take any type of enforcement action specific to not wearing masks or large social gatherings. I believe that's not a function of law enforcement.
Sheriff Barnes also claims there's no scientific proof that enforcing a curfew will help limit the spread of the coronavirus.
It's actually quite a contradictory argument. You're saying that it's okay to be out in large gatherings any other hours of the day, but in those hours specifically, for some reason, COVID is rampant, and I'm not sure that that is based on any scientific approach.
Orange County, one of the counties that slid back into the purple tier in the state's COVID-19 monitoring system, along with Ventura County. And the Ventura County Sheriff's Office also released a statement saying it will not actively enforce the curfew order.
407 in the wake of the huge city budget deficit. The LAPD looking at slashing some units, completely disbanding some others. This as violent crime continues to surge.
An internal LAPD memo notes that LA's police chief is making, quote, significant and difficult changes to adapt to the current financial and personnel shortages, with a goal of keeping as many officers on patrol as possible. But LA City Councilman Joe Buscaino, a former police officer himself, he doesn't like the moves being proposed. He finds the list alarming.
So if we're seeing cuts of specialized units in robberies and in homicides and sex crimes, a message will be sent to knuckleheads in our city that if you do the crime, you may not do the time.
He acknowledges that in the wake of a big budget deficit, cuts have to be made, but he hopes that ultimately the federal government will step in with relief money to help struggling cities across the country. Meantime, an LAPD spokesman declined to talk about the memo, saying the department still has to discuss the moves with the police officers union, so the list at this point is only preliminary. John Baird, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Parents of two teenagers who were shot and killed by a fellow student at Saugus High School in Santa Clarita last year have filed lawsuits against the school district.
They're suing the William S. Hart Union High School District for negligence for its failure to supervise the quad area. According to the complaints, the shooter, who had skipped class, stood there in a trance-like state, unchecked for more than 40 minutes before pulling out a handgun and opening fire, killing 15-year-old Gracie Muehlberger and 14-year-old Dominic Blackwell before turning the gun on himself. Attorney Julie Fieber represents Gracie's parents.
Not one member of the faculty, not one guard on campus came up and said, "What are you doing?" In addition, there were security cameras on campus that people should have been monitoring, but those cameras were obscured by trees. No one was monitoring them.
She says the Muehlbergers are seeking change.
They want to do some small part, however much they can, to make sure that this does not happen again.
In a statement, a school district spokesperson says they continue to grieve with the families 1 year after the tragic incident. At this time, however, the district cannot comment on pending litigation. Margaret Carrero, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Did LA County Sheriff violate the law a few months back when he didn't personally appear after receiving a legal demand to appear before the Civilian Oversight Commission answered their questions?
Back in May, the panel subpoenaed the sheriff. They wanted to know more about inmate health behind bars, about how coronavirus was infecting the inmate population.
It was unnecessary to subpoena the sheriff himself. He sent Under Sheriff Chase, who is the person most knowledgeable because he's in charge of custody.
Still, the question of the subpoena, was it snubbed? Is the sheriff in contempt of court?
We also challenged the authority of the COC to issue a subpoena to the sheriff specifically. They do have general subpoena power, but it's not to interrogate the sheriff.
The legal battle on this subpoena for Sheriff Villanueva will drag into the new year, 2021. He'll have to convince the judge whether or not he's guilty of contempt of court. Craig Figner, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Our Eye in the Sky updating a crash, slowing the drive on the 10 in Baldwin Park. Also a crash on the 605 in Industry. Your next traffic check in 4 minutes. It's 4:11.
If you have problems with your teeth, this is something you got to take care of. But you say, "Oh, Mike, stop it with this. I'll just keep on ignoring it. I'll cover up my smile. It's been going okay so far." Has it really, though? No. We got to fix your teeth. We got to get you a perfect smile because we can easily with Cunning Dental. This is the easiest answer. You sleep, they work. It's sleep dentistry. And right now, how about this? Free sedation for new patients on most treatments that is over a $1,000 value. They can do a little bit of work, something who's been nagging you, loose tooth, whatever it is. Or if you haven't been in a long time, dental anxiety, whatever it is, the sleeping solves that too, right? Because you're just snoozing. But if you haven't been there, years of neglect, they can take care of that in even just one visit. Cunning Dental. Use the dental insurance before the end of the year. It's use it or lose it. 855-2CUNNING, 855-2CUNNING, and cunningdental.com.
Baby sneezes are adorable once, but when your little one is dealing with a stuffy nose, it's no fun, and it's definitely not cute. It's sad. The Boogie brand is here to help. Whether you need Boogie Wipes, Boogie Drops, or Boogie Mist, we have safe and effective natural saline options that will give your stuffy little ones relief. And the Boogie brand was created by moms for moms, so it goes without saying. Our products work like a charm. Learn more at BoogieWipes.com.
Hola, ¿qué tal, California? Soy Chiquis y quiero hablarles del COVID. Yo di positivo a COVID-19. Ahora, gracias a Dios, estoy bien, pero sí me dio muchísimo miedo. El COVID es invisible, está en todas partes y puede ser mortal. Les mando este mensaje a mis fans para que se unan a mí en esta lucha contra el COVID, porque quiero volver a presentarme en vivo para ustedes, porque todos queremos volver a reunirnos con nuestras familias. Podemos derrotar el COVID. Usen una mascarilla, lávense las manos y mantengan 6 pies de distancia.
Jerry Reynolds here, the Car Pro for my only certified Chevy dealer in Southern California, Rotolo Chevrolet. You'll see why when you visit their number one in the entire state of California. Mike Capozio, the general manager, is not only my friend, but a true professional committed to your service and satisfaction. They'll help you find new roads at Rotolo Chevrolet on South Highland in Fontana. Take the 210 freeway, exit Sierra. Connect direct with Mike at carprousa.com or their website, rotolo.com.
Here at Stater Brothers Markets, we know Thanksgiving may look a little different this year, but sharing sweet memories and delicious food will never change.
So stop on in and see us this week and pick up everything you need to make all your family's favorite recipes. Plus, Jennie-O frozen turkeys are only 49 cents a pound with a $25 purchase. And frozen premium butterballs are just 99 cents a pound. Our fresh bone-in ribeye roasts are an amazing $4.99 a pound. Limitations may apply.
Stater Brothers Markets wishes you and your family a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Hey, Los Angeles, time is running out. The LADWP and City of LA have $500 grants to help you pay your utility bills, but you have to apply by November 22nd. If you are a low-income Angelino who has been financially impacted by COVID-19, you may qualify for a $500 check from LADWP. But you have to act now. Applications are being accepted online. Log on to ladwp.com/utilitycares and apply by Sunday, November 22nd. That's ladwp.com/utilitycares. We are all in this together.
To celebrate State Farm's surprisingly great rates, we gave this song surprisingly great lyrics.
State Farm, prices made just for you. That's what I said now. Prices that surprise you. Just go ahead now. Keep that money in your pockets. And that's on bread now. Save up, maybe one day buy a rocket. Just get a quote now.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This is Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station, KNX 1070 News Radio. Depend on us.
414, I'm Mike Simpson.
I'm Rob Archer. Coming up,
virus cases surging. We're going to answer your corona questions with a professor at UCLA.
A different post-pandemic world. I'm Bloomberg's Joan Doniger. That story coming up in 5 minutes.
Record-shattering COVID numbers for California as we head into a weekend of modified curfews.
415 now. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 5s. And here's Denise Fondo.
We're going to head right to Scott, who is over a motorcycle crash on the 10 in Baldwin Park in the Southern California Toyota dealer Sky One.
Wreck is on the 10 eastbound, pretty much right at Baldwin Park Boulevard. Blocked the right lane for quite a while, but CHP has cleared everything. Still a little bit of right shoulder activity there, but again, all lanes are open. You'll have a backup through Santa Anita and expect on and off slowing out of Monterey Park as you work your way into the Rosemead area as well. Sounds like some issues for the 110 and the Gardena, the Jam Cam with Brian.
Yeah, it's our southbound side, just past Redondo Beach Boulevard. 2 tipster calls say there's paper all over the lanes, and that's slowing the drive, and it sure is. Your 110 southbound from the 105 is going to be extra tough down the Redondo Beach Boulevard, so heads up for that. If you're leaving downtown, you're slow out of downtown, making your way to about Slauson. Denise.
In Carson on the 405 southbound side, coming up on the 110. We've got an injury crash reported, and that is out in, it looks like it's the far right lane. And a new crash reported in Anaheim Hills on the 91 eastbound as you come into slow traffic there, right at the 55. Next report, 425, with more traffic reports. More often, I'm Denise Fondo in the SDCCU 24-hour traffic center, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Going to have these clouds sticking around for the weekend. Temperatures pretty much like this, maybe just a little bit warmer, and then we drop once we get into next week. That'll start on Monday. 416 at KNX. This time every Tuesday, every Friday, we answer your questions about the coronavirus. You can send those to us, coronaquestions@knx1070.com. We're presented by covidclinic.org. With us today, Dr. Peter Katona, clinical professor of medicine, public health at the Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. Dr. Katona, thanks for coming back on. We are decidedly not where we want to be right now. A couple days of cases topping 4,000. Another day that was right on the edge of that. So what does it take to turn this around with numbers like numbers that we're seeing?
Well, it's a complicated question. There's a lot of things that have gone wrong and a lot of things that need to be fixed. We need more testing. We need more federal guidance. We need good political decisions about schools versus bars. I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of misinformation out there that has to be corrected, which is going to take time. So a lot of factors here, the cold weather, this is a complicated answer.
All right, you mentioned misinformation. What information do you think is wrong that's getting out there?
Well, there's a lot of people that believe that masks serve no purpose. For example, people that do the things that public health has advised us not to do, the thinking that we need to achieve herd immunity naturally. There's a lot of things that people have been led to believe about the value of certain medications like hydroxychloroquine as a therapeutic. A lot of misconceptions out there that people are willing to believe without evidence.
How frustrating is that for you to watch that happen? Because it's one thing, and you knew this was coming, to have to battle the fatigue, right? People get tired of having to do these things because it's not fun. It's not easy. But when you've got fatigue plus just not wanting to go along or believe that it's even happening, that's a whole nother ballgame.
It's terribly discomforting that people don't understand how science works and that science is not an exact mathematics. And the fact that public health is being relegated to being just another lobby, just like the hotel industry or the transportation industry is. So it's very disconcerting. And, I'm a scientist by background, and I feel very disheartened that people don't see it the way that I do.
Isn't there a deeper problem here that brings up something maybe culturally that we've kind of lost the sense of what a fact is, because now everybody's in their own bubble and we like to blame social media and, we only listen to people who agree with us. Is that part of the issue? Do we need to do a whole rethink of our education so that when we have a pandemic like this, people will be more willing to listen to scientific fact?
It's becoming way too easy to disseminate misinformation intentionally. Social media has contributed a great deal to that because it takes people to the extremes of their views that are farther and farther and farther apart. But this is not new. I mean, there are times historically where all of a sudden this became a big issue. There's 3 time periods in the history of the United States in the last 100, 150 years that Rand Corporation has studied, for example. So it's not new, but we have had a chance to amplify that with this constant 24-hour news coverage that has to be serviced and social media acting as well. So it's not a new phenomena, but it's been certainly accentuated.
Your thoughts on the new that we have today, which is further restaurant restrictions in terms of the outdoor dining capacity. They're going to lower that. And then, of course, the 10 p.m. to 5 or 6 a.m. curfews. Now, what does that do to, I guess it limits in some ways how many people can get together places, although if you're going to cheat, you're going to cheat.
Well, it's a terrible dilemma because I'd love restaurants not to go out of business. And if you restrict even their outdoor capacity, you're going to make them starve much, much, much more. So I have great sympathy for that. And I think that it's an important part of our economy that I really want to continue. But I think it's dead wrong to kind of go and emphasize restaurants over schools because I think schools have a much lower transmission capability. If you do an outdoor dining capacity, you do it right, you distance people properly, you're probably okay, although you have to take your mask off to eat, and that's a problem.
Coronavirus vaccines, a couple of them coming on, and let's assume that they're going to be okay and they're approved. How much longer is it going to be before we can start maybe not having to wear our mask all the time?
Well, you have to divide the time periods into the research part of it, getting it out, and then the production and distribution. The research part, getting it out, is pretty much a done deal. I feel very comfortable that the efficacy and safety of these vaccines, the first 2 and then the more that are coming out, are good. But the distribution and production is a real question because we've never, ever had to distribute this large a quantity of vaccines in as fast a time as we possibly can. We've never had this cold storage problem before. We had this 2-dose issue. We have a lot of groups haven't really been studied by the power of the phase 3 studies that have been done. So it's like a race that has hurdles in it, and we've cleared the first hurdle, but we could stumble on the second one or the third one or the fourth one, and that would kill the whole vaccine. So we have to be very careful, but despite that, I am cautiously optimistic.
All right, fingers crossed. Dr. Peter Katona, clinical professor, medicine, public health, the Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. Thank you, as always. 422. Let's check your money. Here's Joan Doniger.
Mike and Rob, hotels have been among the businesses hardest hit during the pandemic. There's no guarantee those businesses will be coming back once it passes. The Wall Street Journal says vacation rentals and second homes may be something we'll have gotten used to. Apple is looking to water down a new law aimed at preventing forced labor in China. The Washington Post says Apple's one of many companies opposing it. Apple says it is dedicated to ensuring everyone in its supply chain is treated with dignity and respect. On Wall Street, the Dow fell 220, the Nasdaq 50, the S&P 24. We check your money at 20 and 50 after each hour. I'm Bloomberg's Joan Doniger from the HMS Capital Money Desk, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Our KNX High in the Sky is going to be over a crash on the 605 in Industry. Also, we'll take a look at the crash on the 405 in Carson. Your next traffic check in 2 minutes is 423.
As the world waits for the presidential election to be certified, at KNX, we don't wait to bring you the updates. From the fight by Trump's legal team,
we have statisticians willing to testify,
to the plans of the president-elect.
You'll soon hear my choice for Treasury.
We've got you covered and we'll keep you informed. KNX 1070 News Radio. Depend on us.
Vacation voucher and a tax deduction.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Also accepting boats, RVs, and real estate donations.
424. A tip now for great skin.
Want skin that glows? Try eating mangoes, especially those little atulfos. A study from the University of California, Davis finds women who ate a half a cup of champagne mangoes 4 times a week for 2 months straight experienced a 23% decrease in deep wrinkles. But continued consumption indefinitely seemed to have the opposite effect of increased wrinkles.
Correspondent Deborah Rodriguez says overall, findings confirm fruits and veggies rich in beta-carotene and antioxidants may delay cell damage.
Some terrifying coronavirus numbers in LA County. In-depth team coverage continues at the bottom of the hour. It's 425.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 5s, brought to you by Network Capital Funding. Denise Fondo.
We've got a new wreck in Commerce on the 5 North, and this is right at Washington. A couple of cars in this crash, and you do have some slow traffic northbound as you head through the Commerce area. Of course, most of the slowing is southbound. In fact, as you make your way out of Burbank, it's going to be slow as you head into Downey. Now, let's check in with Scott. He's over that wreck on the 605 in Industry in the Southern California Toyota dealers. Sky One.
This a crash with a van here, 605 southbound, just south of Peck Road, where the carpool and left lane is taken out. Immediate backup here starting just about the 10 on that southbound 605. You can get around this real easy by just using Peck Road, basically off the 10 or just a little bit to the west of the 605 and rejoining the freeway there. And you'll be in pretty good shape south of there. Looks pretty decent, at least to about Whittier Boulevard. We'll check in with Brian, the Jam Cam.
Take a look at a problem on the 110. This is going to be downtown right before 9th Street. We've got a stall, and looks like it's going to be in the far right lane. So watch out for some delays northbound from Slauson, southbound heavy out of downtown to about Florence. And again, as you make your way further on that 110, paper all over the roadway at Redondo Beach Boulevard, and that's got you slow from the 105. Denise.
We've got a big rig crash on the 210 eastbound. This is past Sunland. It looks like 2 cars involved in this too, and CHP is headed there, and they're going to run a break to get that cleared out of your way. Who needs a 15-year mortgage when you can get Network Capital Funding's historically low 30-year fixed rate? That's with no lender fees or points. Call Network Capital Funding now for some of the best rates ever. Call 800-500, the number 1 hit, 800-500-1448. Next report, 435, with more traffic reports more often. I'm Denise Fondo in the SDCCU 24-hour traffic center, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Weather like this through the weekend.
Huge spike in LA County's residents. Get ready for some new curfew orders tonight. In-depth team coverage continues in 3 minutes. It's 4:27.
You asked, how do I save money on my home loan? IntelliLoan offers a home loan refinance at a 2.375% fixed rate in APR. That's just 2.375% with no fees or closing costs. Call 800-978-7400. That's 800-978-7400 or visit IntelliLoan.com. IntelliLoan. Borrow smart. Rate subject to change without notice. Certain restrictions apply. Subject to credit approval. NMLS 3290. Loans made or arranged pursuant to a California Finance Lenders Law license number 6036970. Equal housing lender.
This holiday, check every gift off your pet's list with Chewy. Shop their favorite food and treats and spoil them with sweaters, toys, and more. Chewy has everything you need to celebrate with your pets, delivered right to your door. Get fast free shipping on orders over $49. Visit Chewy.com today.
Hey, what's up, California? It's your girl Cheekies, and I want to talk to you about COVID. I tested positive for COVID-19. Thank God I'm okay now, but it was scary. COVID is invisible. It's everywhere, and it can be deadly. I'm calling out to my fans to join me in this fight because I want to be able to perform live for you guys again. Because I know we all want to get our families together again. We can defeat COVID. Wear a mask, wash your hands, and social distance.
Stop into Stater Brothers Markets today for these lowest prices of the year.
Ease into Thanksgiving week with our fresh tri-tip roast and flat meat for carne asada. They're both $3.99 a pound. Boneless, skinless chicken breasts are 99 cents a pound. Get our fresh, skinless Atlantic salmon fillets at $6.99 a pound. And all you lobster lovers, pick up our wild-caught 5-ounce lobster tails at $6.99 each.
Visit our website for more great prices now through Thanksgiving at Stater Brothers Markets.
It's Jane, and if you're looking for the perfect gift on your holiday list, we need to talk about KiwiCo. KiwiCo delivers hands-on art and science projects for any age and interest. Engineer a walking robot, launch bottle rockets, all from the comfort of home. Start a new tradition this year with KiwiCo. Everything you need to make STEAM seriously fun. Delivered monthly to your doorstep. Get to kiwico.com/local to save 50% on your first month. That's KIWICO.com/local.
Lyrics inspired by State Farm's surprisingly great rates.
But my rates like that. They're great like that. Drive safe like that. I save like that. It's straight up facts. Great rates.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This is Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station, KNX 1070 News Radio. I'm Mike Simpson.
And I'm Rob Archer in for Karen Adams. Our top local story at 4:30. More concerning numbers from LA County public health officials. More than 4,200 new coronavirus cases and 35 additional deaths.
Over the past few days, there have been small increases in the number of people dying from COVID-19, and the daily test positivity rate has gone up significantly to 7.3%.
At this point, given how high our case rate is, and the fact that we've more than doubled the test positivity rate, means as you're walking around, you have a much greater chance of running into a person who's infected.
County Public Health Director Dr. Barbara Ferrer.
The increases that we see now really reflect actions we took 2 weeks ago. So if we act today, 2 weeks from now, we should be able to see a start in slowing the spread. If we don't, I fear that we're going to continue to experience higher case counts, more people passing away from COVID-19, and a stressed out healthcare system.
Countywide, starting tonight, restaurants, breweries, wineries, bars, and all other non-essential retail businesses must close from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Margaret Carrero, KNX 1070 News Radio.
It's a new California COVID record. More than 13,000 new cases reported statewide today. 91 deaths across the state. 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew in effect tomorrow night, Saturday night, lasting through December 21st. And 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. is just heard for LA County. Public Health Officer Dr. Muntu Davis for LA County tells KNX this is meant to stop large late-night gatherings that could spread the virus.
If you see an increase in cases the way we're seeing now, that tells you that people weren't following the instructions. And those same people are the same folks that will gather, in other places. And them being infected and going to places, cause risk for everybody else. So really the idea at the moment is to try to decrease as much movement and mixing at least a little bit at the moment to try to get this back down.
Some people are wondering if the countywide and statewide curfews will be enough to help curb the spread of the virus.
The answer is depends upon whom you talk to. Certainly some small business owners, restaurants and the like, argue the financial loss will be too steep and may not really bring down the infection rate. But others say nighttime is a time when people often let down their guard against the virus.
So the opportunity to limit chances for this virus to spread are important.
Dr. Mark Galey is California's Health and Human Services Secretary.
All of these are tools that we have to try to get increased usage of these protective factors, the physical distancing, that keeping your mask on, the staying home when you're sick, all of those things make a difference little by little, but in the aggregate, they can really turn that case number around.
Essentially, everything is now a stopgap measure while we wait for the approval of COVID vaccines and people getting them. Charles Feldman, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Most California counties going to be under a nighttime curfew starting tonight. But Orange County Sheriff Don Barnes says he will not be actively enforcing the stay-at-home order. Sheriff Barnes tells KNX he's expecting OC residents to voluntarily comply with the health orders to curb the spread of the virus.
And I think that is maybe a little bit of an overstep on behalf of the governor's office. I'm not sure you can isolate 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. as the COVID hours. I think if you're going to have any type of response through a public health order, it needs to be reasonable in its application. It needs to be well received by those you're asking for compliance of.
Sheriff Barnes also says while he firmly believes masks do work, it's not the function of law enforcement to punish those who don't wear face coverings during the pandemic.
I've always believed that wearing masks make a difference. We had an outbreak within the Orange County Jail at a height of 220 cases of inmates with COVID on May 11th, and we mitigated that down to virtually zero. And we did that by being not only compliant with, but actually ahead of CDC guidelines. And that included everybody within the jail, staff or inmates, wearing masks.
Ventura County Sheriff also announcing his deputies will not be actively enforcing that curfew order.
Donald Trump Jr. has no symptoms, but Rudolph Giuliani's son, Andrew, does. Both of them are quarantining at home after testing positive this week for the coronavirus. Trump Jr. isolating at his cabin in the Catskill Mountains north of New York City. Andrew Giuliani is a special advisor to President Trump and works in the West Wing. A dispute inside a car ends in a fatal hit-and-run accident. That story's coming up in 2 minutes right after traffic. It's 4:35.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the fives. Here's Denise Fondo.
In Long Beach, we've got an injury crash on the 405 southbound, and this is on the Atlantic on-ramp to the roadway. It looks like we have a car that went off the side of the road, and Long Beach Fire Department is on the way there. Let's get an update on our wreck and industry with Scott. He's in the Southern California Toyota dealer Sky One over the 605.
It is still here. It's the 605 southbound, pretty much right at Peck Road, where the carpool and left lane are blocked. However, a tow truck just got here, so hopefully we'll see some improvement with this in a few minutes here. The backup pretty much from the 10, but you can get around this relatively easily by using Peck Road and just rejoining the southbound 605. You do have some northbound spectators flowing as you get up toward Peck Road as well. Problems on the 210 in Sunland, the Jam Cam with Brian.
It's going to be our eastbound side, about a mile or two past Sunland Boulevard. This is a wreck involving a semi. Just getting word that the right lane is still blocked here. We have debris across all lanes, too. So you've got big delays starting at Sunland Boulevard. And if you're traveling westbound, that 210, right as you come up to the crash there, you're going to see a little slow in yourself as well. Denise.
We've got a new problem in Irvine on the 405 southbound, and this is on the Jamboree on-ramp. We've got a stalled car reported out in your left lane. Next report, 445, with more traffic reports more often. I'm Denise Fondo in the SDCCU 24-hour traffic center, KNX 1070 News Radio.
More clouds today, but the temps near average, 60s, 70s. Some spots got to right around 80 degrees or right at 80 today. For tomorrow and really into the weekend, it's going to look a lot like this. Then the cool down starts again next week. 445, 5-day forecast, 67 downtown LA, Hawthorne 64, Fullerton 73.
It's 437. A domestic dispute inside of a car has ended in a fatal hit-and-run accident in Van Nuys. Police are looking for a driver who left the scene after striking a man who got out of a moving car.
The incident happened on Burbank Boulevard just past 7 last night. Valley Traffic Division Officer Martha Garcia said a man and a woman were inside a Lexus going westbound and had an argument inside the car.
For whatever reason, the passenger opened the door and fell out while the car was moving.
A second car was right behind them when that happened.
I think he was close close enough. I don't think he even saw what happened in front of him, and just ran him over and dragged him a few feet.
The victim, Manuel Eduardo Carrillo, died at the scene. Now investigators are looking for a 2007 to 2009 beige Toyota Camry with front end and passenger side damage. There's a $25,000 reward out for information leading to an arrest in this hit-and-run fatality. But investigators are hoping the driver, who may have only been minimally at fault, surrenders at a police station instead. In Van Nuys, Pete Demetrio, KNX 1070 News Radio.
The FBI and LA police detectives have arrested 2 people for killing a young man. His body found last month, and we've learned that one of the suspects was a coworker of the victim.
He vanished after he left his job working at a Los Angeles dispensary. It was September the 22nd. 22-year-old Juan Hernandez. He was found November 15th in a shallow grave off the 15 in Barstow.
That was later recovered by the San Bernardino County Coroner's Office on November 19th. We served search warrants at 2 different locations in the county of Los Angeles and took into custody Ethan Estefan, 27 years old, and Sonita Hang, 20 years old.
Both arrested for murder. LAPD Lieutenant Ben Hernandez tells KNX still unclear how the victim died. Hernandez did know one of the people arrested for his murder, but other than that, he wouldn't go into detail about how the 2 suspects and the victim are connected. Craig Figner, KNX 1070 News Radio.
President Trump summoned top GOP lawmakers from Michigan to the White House today to attempt to sway them to overturn their state's election results. They have now left the White House and say nothing they heard from the president would change the outcome of Joe Biden's victory in Michigan. Michigan's Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson says it's now time to move forward.
I'm not going to question their motivation or what went into their decision and all of that, but I will say that we've got 2 distinct things happening here. On one side, we've got the facts and the law and the voters who have spoken. On the other side, we've got a PR campaign that's been designed consistently to erode voters' faith in the elections and the integrity and the accuracy of the results.
CNN reporting that President Trump now considering inviting Pennsylvania GOP lawmakers to the White House to try to convince them to overturn their election results. Also today, Georgia's top election officials certified the results showing Democrat Joe Biden winning the presidential race in that state. President Trump now has 2 days to request a recount.
The transition, it'll happen on Twitter, January 20th. Twitter says the @POTUS handle will automatically transfer to President-elect Joe Biden. Company says the name will be true for the White House, VP, and FLOTUS as well.
Federal Appeals Court Judge Merrick Garland is reportedly being considered for a position under the incoming Biden administration. It's not for the Supreme Court. This time, the president-elect reportedly looking into having Judge Garland become Attorney General Garland, taking the reins of the Justice Department. But it's becoming more likely that the Republican Party will lead the Senate again. The same people who refused Judge Garland a hearing when he became appointed to the Supreme Court by President Obama back in 2016. Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson says it's not clear Judge Garland would be open to the painstaking process yet again.
I just don't know how many times we can ask one person to be part of a very contentious potential Senate confirmation hearings. It looks like the Senate is likely to be controlled by Republicans, and I don't know that he wants to live through the potential that he won't even get a hearing, the potential that he will not be confirmed again.
You may remember Senate Republicans blocked his confirmation process. Since then, Judge Garland's been back at the D.C. Circuit. All right, on the sky, it's going to be over a crash on the 605 in Industry. Also, we'll update a crash on the 210 in Sunland. Your next traffic check is in 4 minutes. It's 4:41.
Monday, it's a new episode of All Rise, the legal drama where one judge is shaking up the system.
When I take the bench, I'm taking a vow to fight for justice.
One case at a time.
Your Honor. We're going to trial.
Simone Missick is Judge Lola Carmichael.
Up on that bench, everything is different.
A new episode of All Rise.
Freedom is at stake. It's important.
Followed by a new episode of Bull, Monday at 9/8 Central on CBS.
Hey, what's up, California? It's your girl Cheekies, and I want to talk to you about COVID. I tested positive for COVID-19. Thank God I'm okay now, but it was scary. COVID is invisible. It's everywhere, and it can be deadly. I'm calling out to my fans to join me in this fight because I want to be able to perform live for you guys again. Because I know we all want to get our families together again. We can defeat COVID. Wear a mask, wash your hands, and social distance.
Stop into Stater Brothers Markets today.